Welcome back to Rides and Drives Team Radio. I'm Harvey. I'm here with Kaz. It's Indy week, and we got some news out of Indianapolis over the past couple of days. But before we get to that, I want to say happy birthday, Kaz.
Oh, thank you. Yes, IndyCar gives me a wonderful present every year because my birthday falls mid-May, so I'm always super close to either the Sancio Grand Prix or qualifying for the 500. This particular year, I'm right in the middle, so I love this month. It feels like a little gift to me. Thank you so much, IndyCar.
Yeah. So happy birthday. And now we get to have some fun and talk about some issues that are pretty controversial. I think first we want to talk about the rule change that they just announced. Actually, it's not a change in the rule, maybe more of a clarification.
Yeah.
But it was based on what happened in the Sancio Grand Prix when Alexander Rossi's car stopped on the front straight and they threw a local yellow. So while he's sitting there in the car, other cars are passing him at 170 miles an hour. Basically, the reason they threw that local yellow, and they kind of admitted this in the press release, is they wanted to let all the cars get through the pit sequence that was going on at the time and not give anyone an advantage. Well, you know what? That's racing, right?
Yeah. Look, first of all, I note that it took them 2 days to put this out, which to me says they were kind of scrambling, trying to come up with some other reason that they could have done this, some justification beyond. In their statement, they listed a bunch of reasons why you might choose to throw a local yellow versus a full course. Only one of them was about race quality, and
Right.
it was the pit cycle timing. Every other point was about safety of the driver. And that is always what caution should be about, whether you're throwing a local yellow, a full course yellow, you're doing a full red flag. The only thing you should be thinking about when making that decision is there a driver in danger? And in this particular circumstance, there was. But I actually want to take that out for a second. Obviously, Alex Rossi is more important than the sport in terms of his life and him being around. But here, I just want to focus on the racing. It is foolish of them to think that allowing cars to finish their pit cycle properly makes for a better race. We talk constantly when Alex chooses to do those long first stints and is out running 8 laps beyond where everybody else has pitted. We talk constantly about how he is exposing himself to risk if there should be an incident and a yellow flag. That is part of the game. And if race control decides, oh, no, we'll just hang on, we'll just clean it up for you so you can get through it, then all of the stakes of that risk of choosing to stay out late are taken away. So in some sense, it actually unfairly promotes the drivers who chose to take the risk to stay out. And at that point, it's not a risk at all. It's just a little special gift. And then here's my last thing, and this is pure tinfoil. And so you can't, please don't take this seriously. But I do wonder if Alex and Kyle and the guys running up front had come in already, and we were cycling in such a way that we had Rinus VeeKay up front, does he get the luxury of being allowed to complete his pit cycle? I don't know that he does.
Right.
I don't know that he doesn't, but I don't know that he does.
Well, it's interesting. I saw some comments from people saying, oh, it's just IndyCar wanting Alex to win and be in the lead. And it's like, first of all, forget that, because if they really wanted Alex to win, they'd be promoting him more. The person IndyCar would love to win is Pato or Joseph or someone like that that has a huge fan base. Right?
Sure. And look, by saying if somebody like Rinus VeeKay was right, I was not targeting Alex specifically. I'm saying, there are 10 drivers who are really well known and, beyond a casual fan knows a lot about them and is looking for them and rooting for them. And I think that if you're not one of those 10, take Rinus VeeKay out of it. Let's say Marcus Armstrong.
Right.
Great driver, running very well in the championship this year. I think but he's not a superstar, not yet.
Right.
I think that if you have him running up front, it gets a little bit easier for them to say, well, he's not one of not Alex. It's not Alex, but not
Right.
one of the guys.
He's not Alex Pato,
Yeah.
Malukas, Newgarden. Yeah, we could go on for,
Kirkwood,
yeah,
Power. Yeah, yeah. Why
exactly.
don't I just list more drivers?
Yeah, so we could do that. But uh, here's the thing. So going forward, they have said and clarified that pit window and running order have no bearing in the decision on whether to throw a full course yellow or a local yellow. It's only driver safety. That's 100% what they're going to base this decision on going forward, and that's the right decision. So, yeah,
Yeah.
they got it wrong on Saturday. It was a horrible decision. We talked about it at,
A lot of people talked about
while
it.
he was
It was
stopped
universally.
off while he was stopped off the racing line. He was still in a position of danger for a car coming out of turn 4 and losing control.
Mhm.
So, or turn 14 and losing control. So they should have thrown that yellow, got him out of the car, because there also is no easy way to get a safety vehicle to him quickly in that
Yeah.
position. He was stopped halfway down the front straight. There's a wall there.
There's zero excuse for it. And okay, they have put out a statement saying this is why we did it. We get that that was wrong. We're not doing that moving forward. Great. Should have been doing that in the first place, but
But
we can all move forward.
yes, and let's make sure and hold them accountable and
Yeah.
make sure they do the right thing going forward.
Yeah.
So that was issue number one that we got from IndyCar. Now we got a second issue, and this all stems from the fact that there are only 33 cars qualifying, registered to qualify this year. So
That's right.
there is no bump,
And
right?
because
There's
of that, we have a change to qualifying. And, I mean, Fox owns a third of the series. They're looking at a gap on the calendar. They say, guys, put something competitive here. Don't
right.
shove another practice in. I get that.
Yes. And so what we're going to have now, since there is no bump day, and that is, typically the Sunday afternoon, exciting, shootout to see who of
Bump
those
day.
last 4 or 5 people make the final 3 spots. And it's high stakes, and it has
Hmm.
always mattered. And we've seen, rookies lose out. We've seen world champions lose out. We've seen Indy 500 winners lose out on bump day.
Hmm.
It is one of the most exciting events in motorsport because of that. But we don't have it because there are only 33 cars entered in this race. So what Fox is doing instead is, well, Fox IndyCar. So I guess that's a little bit of a
Little
Freudian
Freudian
slip.
right there.
Yeah. So let me just go through what the new procedure is. I'll do this quickly. We'll throw up some graphics on this so that people can see what it's actually going to look like. So Saturday, at the end of the day, Saturday, two things will be known. First
Hmm.
of all, positions 16 through 33 will be locked in. Okay, so those cars, the 16th to the 33rd, will be locked in the order in which, they ran their speeds. So one good thing about that is you don't have a car that ran 5 miles an hour faster on the last row now.
Yeah,
Maybe that's not a good thing, but
I know, but then, you should have made the,
yeah,
I don't, yeah, you
exactly.
shouldn't have been in contention to be bumped
The
then. I don't know.
other thing we will know at the end of the day is that the top 9 cars, the fastest 9 cars, will automatically qualify for the 12 car shootout on
Hmm.
Sunday. So 9 cars qualify for the top 12. That leaves 6 cars, right?
And three
three
positions.
three positions in the top 12. So this is how they're trying to get a little bit of bump into day 2. So what you've got is um, positions 10 through 15 that will not have their space assured. They will be somewhere in
in 10 through 15.
10 through
But where
15.
are they? I don't know. It could
Well,
be anywhere.
actually, one of them might, one of them could make the Fast Six.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So
That doesn't necessarily
it,
lock. Okay, cool.
right, it
It's
doesn't lock
very
you out.
convoluted,
It
guys.
it's not as convoluted as it seems, but it can be if you let it. So anyway, on so Saturday we know those two things, 16 through 33, and who the top nine are.
Mhm.
Although we don't know, we know nine of the top 12. We don't know what position they'll be in,
Yes,
right?
that's the
So
distinction. We
then
know nine of them. We don't know where they are. We're
then
waiting
on
to find out who the other
Sunday,
three are.
yep, on Sunday, what we will have is what they're calling the top 15 shootout or whatever. And cars 10 through 15 will run a full qualifying, 4 lap qualifying session starting at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And the fastest three of those cars will go through to the top 12. And the other three that don't make the top 12 will be slotted in 13th,
Slotted into
14th,
position.
15th, according to their running order and speed. Then at 5 o'clock, we will then have the Fast 12.
And now
Okay.
we're kind of back to what
Back to
we're
what we,
used to
yes,
on Sundays, which is the Fast 12 winnowed down to the Fast 6. The Fast 6 decides the pole position and the
right.
order for the top of the grid. Hmm.
Pretty simple. I don't think it creates any real additional drama.
Yeah. Okay. So we had talked about doing this as a debate, but once again, Harvey and I share a brain cell sometimes, and I'm just going to be upfront with you. We both don't really care for it very much. And my my issue with it is if you are going to add or change an established procedure, it needs to benefit the product in some way. When I think about, okay, is this an opportunity for some cars in some way to do something really cool? Honestly, no. If you qualify 10 through 15 on day one, you're realistically not making the Fast Six on day two. I mean, you could, it's possible, it happens,
Right.
but not super frequently. More often than not, the cars that are sitting in that order are there because they're just not championship cars. They're not cars that are likely to. Yeah, and I'm not saying they couldn't win the race, just that, in terms
Right.
of pure speed, they're not the fastest.
Look,
So
every car that qualifies for the race can win the race. We've
I
seen
know
cars
that.
come from the back and do that. So it's
I
not,
know that.
and that's why I don't think this really adds anything, because whether you qualify, in sixth place or 15th place, you still have a good shot at winning this race.
The stakes between, yes, that's very correct. The stakes between 6 and 15, there are three cars per row.
Right.
You can peer up and see them very, very close to you. I know that there's more to get by, but there is so much passing at Indy that's really not a significant deal. The stakes here are just so low. And replacing something like bump day with something that is so low stakes to me is just a little frustrating. And then I do have, and it's super funny that I'm talking about this because I'm always the one saying motorsport is inherently unfair and we just have to accept that about it. But there is a fairness issue that I have a problem with here. And this is in my I went through and I was like, okay, what are the situations wherein something surprising could come out of this or something big could be changed because of this? And the only thing I can think of is if a top driver in a top car, and we're just going to use Alex Palou because that's who we're looking at as champion right now. If Alex Palou bobbles somewhere in his initial qualifying run. Spoiler alert, he's not going to, but let's just pretend he did. And he qualifies after day one, he's 13th.
Right.
Now he just gets another chance. And I'm sorry, Alex, you bobbled, you didn't make it. Sit down, start 13th. You don't get another chance to correct those mistakes. You don't get them anywhere else in racing. Why are we giving it to them now? Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a fairness thing for me here that which is so weird. I can't believe I'm the one who's like, "Oh, it's not fair." That's that's not my usual thing.
Well, and I get it. And when we had first talked about doing this as a debate, my thing was, yeah, I don't love this, but I see the logic of it. And I do from a Fox standpoint.
Oh,
You're
sure.
sitting there with a whole afternoon of IndyCar racing lined up. And, what are you going to fill that half hour, 45 minutes with that you were planning to do a really exciting show with?
One of the
And
most exciting thing. I mean,
yeah,
I look forward to Bump
I
Day every
mean,
year.
maybe they could move the Weenie 500 there. That might have
Oh
been
my
better.
God. Yeah, but the
But
hot dogs can't race that long. They only go like a quarter lap. Just keep swapping out hot dogs. Just
yeah, exactly. But it's frustrating because you do want to see something competitive, and Fox like, okay, or IndyCar's like, okay, what can we put on the track that at least would give s- reason, people a reason to tune in, because they're not going to tune in for a practice session
I'm
before the Fast 12.
I'm gonna tune in for all of it because I'll be there. And
You
because I
are.
would anyway if I was at home. But if I'm somebody who's not going to tune into a practice, I'm also not tuning in to find out who the bottom three drivers in the Fast 12 are. I don't think that this is high enough stakes to make for good TV. Look, I get it. I firmly believe that somebody at Fox told people at IndyCar, you cannot run a practice here and you need to design a competitive qualifier.
Right.
Which brings me to this. If this is that important to you, why didn't you put more effort into incentivizing another team, Andretti, into putting another car in the field?
Right.
That's where this effort should have gone.
Well,
That's
and
where
and
this money should have gone.
yeah.
Figuring out another way to add 34 drivers so that we can keep the thing that we love and not replace it with some milk toast version of it that I just can't bring myself to care about.
Well, I agree with you on that. You're talking about $1 million, right? That's going to be the cost to add to run a car for the Indy 500, between practice, crew, setup, equipment, all that stuff. So that's fine. Someone has to pay for that. And
I'm
now,
okay.
if IndyCar wants to pay for it, if Fox wants to pay for it, if Fox wants to go out and help that team get a partner, a sponsor to pay for it.
That's what I'm saying. It's not that I'm not saying that Fox or IndyCar should pay for teams to submit drivers, but Fox and IndyCar both could help set up sponsorships. Fox, in particular, is in a position to say to a team like Andretti, who we know has a car ready to go because Colton Herta was going to be in it and then couldn't. And it wasn't short notice enough. We couldn't have grabbed another driver. Somebody else would have wanted to drive that car. Um, Fox could have offered a team like Andretti in this situation maybe a little extra promo work with some of their drivers. Why not do a promo for Kyle? We did those three great preseason adverts. Four, sorry, because we had Will, Pato, Alex. Was it just the three?
Joseph.
Joseph, thank you. Yeah, the best one. We had those four great preseason promos, and Kyle didn't get one. I think it would be valuable for Andretti if Fox were to say, "Hey, we really want a 34th driver. If you find somebody to put in Colton's car and put him out there, then we're going to do a spot for Kyle." I have no problem with that. That's no money is changing hands. That's promoting a driver I love. That's a good incentive for Andretti and hopefully and maybe it wouldn't have worked. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not like in this business per se, but I
No, but and that's
get creative,
also
guys.
though part of the problem with bump day. And because you're asking people, and why we've seen less and less and less of this over the years, because you're asking people to commit $1 million, because whether you make the race or not, it's going to cost you, 750,000 to $1 million to put a car in the race. And if there's a chance that I, as a sponsor, am going to put that money in and then not make the show,
Sure.
That's a hard ask. That's a
Let me ask you
really
this
hard
question.
ask.
How much of that $1 million is entering the race and how much of it is getting the car ready? Because again, we know they have the car.
Yeah, well, but the car is one thing. Now you need the crew.
Yeah,
Now
that's what I'm asking.
you
Where's the
need all
breakdown?
that other stuff.
Is it are we
I
saying
don't know. I mean,
$1 million from the beginning of the Indy 500, or are we saying $1 million for the process? And oh, by the way, they've already spent 450. So we're still talking about a huge chunk of money, but less, you know?
I
I'm
mean,
just curious.
a lot of teams have an extra car,
Yeah, most of them
right?
do. Yeah.
So it's not, they have it in case one wrecks during the season or whatever. So the car itself may or may not be included in that expense. I don't know.
I would
And this
assume
is
it would be
something,
based on how different Indy 500 cars are.
yeah, I'm assuming that there is some cost to that car baked into it, whether or not it's the full cost of the car amortized or it's amortized just for that part of the race,
Hmm.
of the season. I don't know. So, stuff we can certainly ask teams when we're down there this week.
Hmm.
But I agree with you. I wanted to try to disagree with you. I can't because it's not, and it doesn't make the show more exciting. The other thing it does is we can't forget this. You're asking drivers to run one more qualifying session. That's
Yeah.
one more chance we're putting them at risk. Now, ask any driver and they'll tell you any chance I can get to be on the track, I'm on the track. But you're artificially changing the system. And now we're putting those 6 drivers through one more 4-lap qualifying session. And, you know, God hope it doesn't, but sometimes bad things happen in qualifying.
Yeah, guys,
And
the Indy 500 qualifiers are a point where I am tense through each 4 lap cycle because I
yep,
know that driver is throwing it.
yep,
It's it's a it's a nerve-wracking thing. And then, from that is obviously the more important point, but also from another standpoint, we're asking teams to I didn't see anything about tires.
yeah.
Are we asking teams to use another set of their tires that they have race ready?
Or are we
Because
allocating
that's
if you make
actually
that?
that's actually a huge disadvantage. I would almost rather qualify seventh and only run 12 laps than have to burn an extra set of tires that I now can't rely on for the race in order to move up maybe one position. I I don't know. Hopefully there's an allocation there for the drivers who have to run that additional set, but I don't
All
know.
questions we can ask on a press conference this week. So
Hmm.
there's stuff happening. We'll try to get answers to it. And, we're going to be back with more this week as things ramp up, and we'll be at the track Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So stay tuned to Rides and Drives Team Radio for more from the Indianapolis 500 qualifying sessions this week.
Guys, if you're interested in these qualifiers, go ahead right now. Follow Harvey_drives and Fast Car Kaz on whatever social media you prefer, because we are going to be on the track, on the grid, talking to drivers directly and sticking our cameras right in their faces. Can't wait to bring it to you.
Yes, we will. So for Rides and Drives Team Radio, I'm Harvey. She's Kaz, and we are out for today.
Drive safe, but like a little less because we're close to the 500.